So have you been here before?
No.
No, first time?
A little bit.
I'm out. Yeah, take a good look at some of these tunnels right here. It's a bit tight there, isn't it? Take a good look around. It was 1953.
1953, so grandma was 3.
And that's because the flow of water is from downhill. Now, do I have a very brave volunteer before we move forward? That sounded like voluntold.
This guy right here.
Seen the Alien movies, but if you have, you might notice this upper section of tunnel looks pretty familiar. So I'll leave you with that. We'll continue further in the cave.
Remember the alien movie, like the tiny thing over there?
We have a perfect example of a cone shell cephalopod fossil right here, folks. You can see the top either side, caught in the intersection.
Oh, I think he's not a different alien movie. Sigourney Weaver.
Look at it, it's you're talking about. Somebody comes up. Oh my gosh.
Keep your eyes open. There's a super small chance you can find massive growth of stalactites here. Very serious. Oh, yes, because it would have so the tunnel would have originated like a tiny water wall like this one right here. And over time it gets much more narrow because water flows downhill. So it turns out that, of course, the bottom of the tunnel would be more eroded over time. And that means that it begins to form like a diagonal shape. You know what I'm saying? You guys came up with Do we just about have everybody? I believe we're waiting on someone.
Yeah, we're waiting on
Couple.
There's a couple.
one.
Okay, perfect. So I want to congratulate everybody that went through the tunnel. You are now considered a...
I was just crossing my fingers at the back and wanted to say, please no one fart here. No one did, we're good. I'm saying, the guy who mentioned you were...
So if you guys actually...
I can't imagine.
Have you
Came in for that?
Big tunnels? Or...
Yes.
I thought I'd be a little bit skeptical at the front, so I didn't know. Perfect. So what we're standing in right now is what we actually call our bat cave. And yeah, it's pretty cool to say I work in the bat cave. But when you look up, you're going to notice, yeah, there's a serious lack of said bats.
Hey,
And that's because bats are doing the same thing most Canadians are doing right now, and that's enjoying the warm weather. Now, bats are nocturnal. They only come out at night, but when they do, they eat about 6 times their body weight in bugs and mosquitoes. So, I mean, thank you, bats. Some people might argue they're not doing the best job. Just that being said, when bats come in here, they come in here for the winter, and they make that transition in here for the winter during the fall. And as such, if you were to come on a tour again and you want to see bats, the best chance to do so is during the second week of September, all the way up until we close during Thanksgiving weekend in October. Now, during that time, we have a couple dozen bats, and that is made up of 3 species. We have the small brown bats, the large brown bats, and the northern long-eared bats. And you said it might be a little cold in here, but it is actually 10 to 12 degrees Celsius year-round. So it's essentially the same temperature right now. Yeah, that's because we insulate the lower half, and this limestone walls just have a property of capturing moisture, so they keep you acclimated to that. Now, turns out, see, when Tom was coming through here, it was a different story. First of all, the water level would have been just over your head height. That means Tom said, and the inflatable dinghy would have been about this height. And the bats would have been about this height. Now, there has been a very recent, a very serious decline in the bat population, and this was known as white nose syndrome. It was introduced to North America from Europe in the 90s, and since the bat population has taken a serious hit. Now, when Tom was coming through here, the bat population was standing strong. First of all, from the dimensions of this tunnel, you can tell the water, it's picking up a lot of speed, shooting around that corner into the next room. He wants to slow himself down, so he throws his elbows out. Gets a couple scrapes and bruises, but he also wakes up a couple hundred friends. Now, bats are flying past. I just got dripped on. It's so bad. Oh my gosh. So the other bats are flying past his head. He's trying to slow himself down. He's also trying not to fall into the water below him. But it turns out, Tom, he wasn't scared of the bats. And he wasn't scared of the rushing water. What Tom was afraid of was what he could hear from around the corner. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, so you guys totally lead us in there again.
Trying to keep the bell on.
What the ring's for.
Something like a sharpish.
Sharpish?
Yeah.
Yeah, must feel good on the elbows.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Take a good look around this room, guys. Use your flashlights if you have to.
Yeah, so the ceiling drops.
Yes. Is there someone coming up the stairs?
Yep.
I even heard someone. That's just our cave monster coming up, probably to get groceries or something.
Yeah.
It's been down here for weeks.
Oh my god, I'm starving.
This is the largest room in the Bonnechere Caves. This is actually what we call the parlor. So big, in fact, we've even had 3 weddings down here. Yes, I'm actually not joking. We even have the pictures back at the booth to prove that. We even asked them, we were like, why do you guys want to get married in a cave anyways? They said, well, if your marriage starts at rock bottom, we're going to get better from there. Now, 2 nights of the year, we also have underground dining. That's in cooperation with another local business in Eganville known as Rio. And then 4 nights of the year, we have musical events. We call them cave stock. And yes, the acoustics are pretty cool. But I'm going to connect with what I was saying in the other room from this time. Now, I'm going to turn the lights off in 3, 2, 1. Now, if everybody is very quiet, we might be able to hear the water below the boardwalk. Shh, very quiet, guys. So it turns out this is absolute darkness. And what I mean by that is there is no photons of light for your retinas to adjust to. Your eyes are completely useless. They will never adjust. In fact, you cannot see your own hand in front of your face. If you close your eyes and open them again, it is the exact same. So thanks everybody for going on down to the Bonnechere Caves. Good luck finding your way out. No, I'm just joking. But in all seriousness, it's time for some ghost stories. So first of all, Tom would not have been coming down here with an LED flashlight. It is way too bright. He would have been using an incandescent bulb, and that would have produced a maximum of this much light. Which is certainly better than nothing, right? Because when he drops this, it goes into about this much light. Now it turns out See, Tom, he's in a very bad situation, of course. Of course, he remembers that rope he tied around his waist. He lets go of the stalactite and hand over hand, he manages to pull himself through that rushing water, through the bats, through the tunnels over the course of 2 grueling hours. He finally makes his way back to the sinkhole to once again see the light of day. Very camouflage. Now what we're standing in right now, if I can have everybody's attention, we are standing in the lowest section of the Bonnechere Caves. Does anybody have any ideas as to how far below ground we actually are right now?
Maybe more than 45?
So we're actually about 90 feet underground. Now, to be fair, there is a hill above our head, so it has increased in elevation just a bit. Now, this is actually the section where the pumps are continually running right now to pump out the flow of water. But in the winter, we turn off the 2 electric pumps, and over the course of 5 days, the water level reclines from below the boardwalk to its natural level right underneath this upper set of lights. Right there. Which is pretty high. You might notice it's actually above the height of this exit tunnel right here. And that means that it fully insulates the lower section of the Bonnechere Caves in the winter, which is very important because that prevents any frost or negative temperatures from seeping in here and decreasing the temperatures we get year-round. Now, if it were to go below freezing in here, that would be very bad because then the moisture inside of the limestone would begin to expand, it would turn to ice. And all of these beautiful shells before you would be destroyed. So it is a preservation tactic. Although the bats also prefer the 10-12 degrees Celsius in here year-round way better than the freezing temperatures outside in the winter, I can tell you that right now. So it is also for the bats. Another thing I want to point out is the vegetation by the upper sets of lights. You might have already noticed some of it.
Yeah.
It's very rare, but some species of plant can actually sustain themselves off of the artificial light. So keep in mind that if this cave was in its natural state in the pitch dark, there would be absolutely no vegetation.
How did the seeds get down here?
What is it, sorry?
How did the seeds get down?
It would have been flowed down on that water. Yeah. And most likely it was actually placed here on mud. So when we do have high waters in here, it brings in mud. And when the water is at its maximum, those large chunks of mud are just dropped off on the shelves on the side. You know, on that mud we might have a couple seeds. Now, I would also like to point out this limestone bridge above my head. It proves we're very safe inside the Bonnechere Caves. Yeah, what significance does this have, right? Well, it turns out...
Texas, we all stand underneath.
yeah. Well, it turns out this is very thin, a very fragile limestone bridge. It would break under the slightest amount of pressure. But it has been with the existence of this cave since they were created, so about 12,000 years ago. I can also tell you that during that time, we have had a ton of earthquakes. Now, none of which have affected this cave. And we're going to file it as much as possible. We're going to have some of the kids come right after the press and the issued safety stick. It's been holding up the boulders for quite some time, guys. You have nothing to worry about. Trust me. The number 1 rule of the Bonnechere Caves is to never touch the safety stick. Do it. Although I'm pretty sure someone moved it before, so I just have to put it back. There we are. Of course, I'm just joking. See, this isn't holding up the boulders whatsoever. In fact, this cave in right here, it's aged at about 500 years old. The first example that proves this is these guys right here. And yeah, I know that looks like bad food, but I assure you it's not. It is actually the first and only stalagmites that you'll see in this cave. That's the area. No, that's actually the area. Now, that second year, let's say, we used to say, oh, this was done during a spray coat for Christmas. But that got vetoed pretty quick.
Oh,
Consider it like it.
Now, everybody's going to get a chance to take a look at the cave, and then once you have, it just has to rotate out to give someone else the opportunity. So this is actually the natural exit for the water. It would come up this area right here, and it would exit a giant hole in the wall. This used to look like the one that we were looking at under the ridge outside. was very big. Of course, since we've added some man-made walls, just limestone just glued together with concrete to keep out the bears and raccoons and teenagers. And I wasn't kidding when I said limestone cracks in very straight lines. Now, one more thing I want to point out is that when we had high waters this year, the high water brought in large sections of mud which had fungi on it. If you look to the left and the far right, you're going to notice the section of mud has white stems coming out of the mud. It's actually the fungi. We have not been able to identify it yet because it hasn't started any distinct features like a mushroom cap or something like that. But I mean, kind of just hoping a botanist shows up one day and knows what they're talking about. Now, with that, if you guys just want to rotate, have you guys been able to take it? Okay. Now, some of you guys might have guessed, yes, this massive green door behind me, sadly, it does mark the end of our time together, so hold it for two. So when I open this door to set you guys free from the Bonnechere Caves, you're going to come onto a path. You're going to go through Narnia and you'll go up some steps. And you will come to a fork in the road where you will make a life-changing decision. You can go right or left. So if you go right, they'll immediately take you back to the booth. So if you have somewhere to be, if you really need to use the washroom, if you really want ice cream, I suggest you go right. Now personally though, I suggest you go left, probably because I'm a little bit biased, but if you go left, you will see this sinkhole which Tom originally used to enter the Bonnechere Caves. That'll take about 7 minutes, and then it will also drop you off at the booth. I'll leave the decision up to you guys. Sadly, I'm not going with you. I have to go back through the way we came, turn off some lights, and put up some barriers. But I will be back at the booth to answer any questions or give any directions that anybody might have. Keep in mind the massive cephalopod fossil, the ABS pipe, and the wedding pictures. They're all back at the booth too if you're interested in that. But before I let you guys go, I want to thank you for being such a respectful group. You guys are awesome. You laughed at my jokes. Thank you for that. And I now set you free from the Bonnechere Caves. So thanks for coming, guys.
You guys too.
Thanks for coming, guys. Thanks for coming. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you. Thanks.
You were awesome. Thank you. That's fun.
No kidding. By the light, maybe?
Sort of. It's up in the very tip top.